So we are about to get down. I think I can leave most of the rest on to get larger. But I do have okra starting all the way in August. Callaloo. They're just big enough for some eggs, perhaps. Either way, let's get down with some of these cucumbers, shall we? Every time I move, I lose. When I look, I'm in. Sometimes I just don't know. Every time I move, I lose. When I look, I'm in. I figured the rain was going to catch me. And it did. And it did. So, the devil is legit getting in their ass right now. At least you get sunshine. So I'm just gonna mukbang a few cucumbers and have some garden chat. You just watch me harvest them. I'm gonna go get some peas. I have some peas in that raised bed right there, and I also have some over in that raised bed. I'm gonna get those now. They're actually tiny, and I'm gonna let them get bigger. So it's raining right now, currently as I speak, on my head. I just got a few little ones. The radar doesn't say it's gonna rain, but the sky, I knew it looked a little cloudy out here. I wanna treat you like a queen, cooked and clean. Get your bubble back ready so I can rub you with night steam. And watch how gentle I'll be when I rub your back. Ain't after that, cause dinner ain't cognac. Nibble on your navel and kiss your thigh. Play with your hair. Cause I'm on a love high. Well, I don't know. It's the way that I am. Introduce you to your mother and I say hello, ma'am. Well, I don't know. It's the way I was brought up. Respect my female and never get caught up. Respect my female and never get caught up. We've been getting a lot more planes, a lot larger, flying a lot lower. Even Mr. said he was shook yesterday because they were just coming one after the other, just looking like they were going to land right on top of the house. And we're accustomed to them coming through, but not so many big ones coming in so low. So I told him, I was like, that's Trump and his people going, you gonna not eat no healthy, fresh garden food on my watch. This is a dip I'm going to use. I normally don't use dip, and I wasn't going to today, but I've been doing really good. I'm right on that 15-pound loss cusp, even though I've been here for about 4 days. And that's not that long, but considering I was losing a pound a day consistently for a couple of weeks, kind of feels like a standstill. But, excuse me. So, let me cut this. These are my mini white cucumbers. I'm going to cut them into spears. I'm not beyond just chomping right into them. But for the sake of this munchies mukbang, here you be. I guess I could leave it in a half too. Leave it like that. I'm getting bit by a couple of insects. Oh yeah. They got me, they just got me. Like, for real just got me. But like I said, it's cloudy, it's moist out here. So there's that. And while I was out, here's a couple things I want to talk about today. One was, This one would be better than I thought it was. I had my protein shake this morning. Oh my goodness. I should have been doing this. Yes, ma'am. Okay, hold on. I think I'm gonna be able to polish off like at least 3 of these for y'all. So I just want to talk about poke salad. First of all, I ate all the other peas. It's my last pea. Next time I'm gonna flip the camera up. Here's Spider-Man. It's got a bunch of gunk on the end of it, but oops. IDC. Oh. I think it's gonna rain. Let's see. And speaking of, prayers up to Houston. Half of y'all don't realize I have a lot of family in Texas. Fortunately, they are deep in the heart of Texas, rather than right on the coast. Where the worst of the worst is happening. I've been sending safe and well wishes to your favorite YouTubers that y'all really don't give a fuck about. But during this time, I've been sending love to Houston YouTubers, and they seem to really appreciate it. Because as popular as they are, as popular as you may be, you realize that people don't really care. You begin to realize that you have signed up. And you signed up for it, bitch. So you wanted to be popular. This is how it goes. So they love you. As long as you can entertain and fascinate and interest them, and they can laugh at your pain. As Kevin Hart so eloquently named one of his tours. But people are not showing up to help you when it goes down. Don't believe me? Ask Cat Williams. Don't believe me? Ask Whitney Houston. Oh wait, that's right. Y'all killed her. I know you didn't kill her directly, but in the process of applying all the bullshit and engaging and supporting via the privilege of silence, they just continue to their self-destruct. It's about to throw down. I'm watching everybody shade the, well, everybody who's brave enough, because some of y'all don't want to mess with your cash cow, but I ain't mad. You know, people got to survive, and if that's how you fund your livelihood, then you can't just you can't jump on the boycott bandwagon. You got bills to pay. I get it. I ain't mad. But for those who can afford to make a choice, I just want you to know that I see you ready to boycott the NFL while you thirsting for front row seats to the McGregor-Mayweather fight. I'm just saying, I see you. You bitches ain't shit. Male and female, y'all ain't shit. But I get it. I get it. Because if my sister was a boxer, then I too would be right there to support. I would. I would. But y'all ain't that supporting family. Y'all just being entertained. You got the room to boycott that shit, but you won't do it. You won't do it. There's something else I do. I pay attention to people that I like or respect. I pay attention to the company you keep. There have been people that I'll be like, oh man, this seems like an adult person with common sense. And I'll go and I see that they take relationship advice from Tyrese, or they out here looking to the tearing guys of YouTube for leadership. I know y'all love these folks. I also need to check for hawks now. Ain't that some shit? The hawks have gotten so comfortable hovering in, because there's so much farmland and industrial land around here. So they have gotten to the point where they will literally hover and hunt and land on our fence. I saw one land on the fence, child. And then I went in the house because I was scared shitless. And I watched it until it took off, right? And I shut the glass part of the patio door, but I left the screen open, right? Because I was like, I was mesmerized. But mama didn't raise no food, so I did run inside. And then when the thing took off from on the fence, when it left, this was the back fence it was on. When it took flight and took off, I literally heard the wingspan.
Powering off.
I heard the wingspan sound like shh, 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 shh. Crazy. Ain't that crazy? I need some more dip though. I'll tell you again. It's you that I want. It's you that I do for. Get it together. Pray to the family. So I wanted the garden chat to be about, damn, I need some more dip. About pork salad. Oh yeah, shout out to privileged people who are here. Who are here just for the Munchies mukbang. I know you're not really here to hear about my struggle as a black human in these Trump American streets. So I know y'all feel some kind of way when I throw that in there. I know y'all like to act like my channel should only be about what entertains you, and then I shouldn't be able to express what I go through as a black person in this country, but fuck you very much for that. And shout out to you sticking around though anyway. If your triggers are important enough for you to suffer through that and still be here. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Let me go get some more dip. Make it all right. Y'all missed a good belch when I went inside. What's coming? Now the sun's coming out, but it's still cloudy on one side. Sun's on the other side. I don't even know how many of you know what poke salad is. Or callaloo for that matter. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, I know you know what callaloo is, but I'm gonna tell you how this whole interest was born. I have memories of my mom putting poke salad scrambling poke salad in the eggs. So much so that the last time I visited home, which is not often enough, but the last time I visited home, I was like, you know, whatever happens, I want me some scrambled eggs with poke salad in it. Excuse me. Well, in the meantime, I knew poke salad was a weed, pretty much indigenous to the South. So, and I always recognized it by poke salad, you know. And even though my mother pronounced it poke salad, P-O-K-E, I knew it was poke salad, P-O-L-K, which still sounds alike, so that's not far-fetched. I guess I just said that because I know my mom pretty much has her own language, as if any of you who have country mothers have. Your mother has her own language, like electricity is electricity, and electricity, and so forth. And so, anyway, the point is, it's getting hot. You know, I thought the rain was going to run me indoors, but it might be the heat that does it. Oh. So last time I was at home, anyway, my childhood memories. I knew we had it growing in the yard, and I knew it grew wild, but I didn't know it to be a weed, much less a superfood weed. In the meantime, my sister had some growing in her yard, so when Mr. and I went out to visit her, we got a piece out of her yard. I brought it home and tried to propagate it, and I started indoors. And it was a fail. So I never did even get to the point where I needed to transport it outside. So it was a fail. And it was just as well because after I told my mom about it, I was like, yeah. I was like, Dale had some in her yard, so I tried to propagate it. Because when I went home, I didn't try to get any out of my parents' yard. Because I didn't trust it to hold up on the flight back for some reason. I don't know. I just didn't. So, but it didn't matter because I got some out of my sister's yard. And I came and tried to propagate it. That failed. So it failed. And I just accepted that the next time I get poke salad and some scrambled eggs, it was just gonna have to be one of those things that only your mama can do. But as I told my mom about my failed experience attempted to propagate it, she was telling me about how she cooked it or whatever, so that made me do some more research. And plus, I never even thought, like, is it just me? Am I the only person who knows what this is? Because, like I said, I know my mom is country and she's got her own language, so even if I were to tell somebody about it, maybe it's pronounced wrong for all I know, right? So I was like, you know, do a search on the internet. I hope this records, because I just did a whole segment of this shit and it did not. Anyway, man, ASMR and mukbang people gonna be mad. Y'all missed it. It was all kind of belching, and I done did 4 different story times, bitch. The temperature has dropped since I was talking to y'all. Remember I wasn't gonna make it. I was gonna have to go inside because the heat was gonna get me. I'm wondering if I have a jacket close by. And I also need to check to see if I get any extra unwarranted protein. Because I done stepped away from this thing. Needless to say, I'm so full. But yeah, so anyway, I did search on the internet. And I saw a few different confusing things. But for anyone who has direct personal experience with it, you can muddle through all the madness and decipher the information you came for in the first place. So, it turns out that it is poke salad for some reason. Salad, white people. You know what a salad is. I know you do. You just heard black people say poke salad, and you thought for sure. You said surely these black people can't be talking about fresh salad, like roughage salad. They can't be. These are black people. Maybe they're trying to say something like salad. That's what it is. That's what we'll go with. Poke salad. When you hear people talk about, or do your search, if you see anybody with a video on poke salad, they're gonna be white people. I mean, we get it wrong now. Don't think we don't get it wrong. We do, but we get confused between poke and poke because we think we're saying poke when you hear the word poke. Oh, let me see. Can I get this? It looks like it's gonna be pretty loud. You see? I didn't zoom that in. I didn't zoom that in. Trump America is flying planes right directly over my shit. Directly. You heard it too. Y'all right here. It's all the time. I'm surprised it's the first one I was able to catch for y'all, but I was been running in and out and had to empty the memory. Okay, so where was I? So white people gonna come for poke salad for some reason. Y'all think our Ebonics, I guess y'all recognize that Ebonics goes hard. But anyway, the actual name of the weed is pokeweed, P-O-K-E. Hence us coming up with the term poke salad. So I could see why a lot of people would think it's poke salad rather than poke salad. So I get that confusion. I don't know where white people get poke salad. Except to think that we just can't pronounce anything else. I'm not mad. It happens. Sometimes in your best effort to understand us, it gets a little mixed in translation. It's normal. It's normal. I'm trying to decide if I have room for another one. I really don't. But I gotta finish the story. Don't make me go get it. I try not to just be out here, sitting out here with a damn gun on the table. After the kids go to school, kids have started school now. I have to ride with the parents, if they think that that's doing a little much. To just be out. I don't care if you don't have no children running around there at your particular house. It's children around here. You don't sit out, in the yard with a gun on the table. That's not cool. It's not cool. Is it raining again? So, it's poke weed, an actual weed, that black people in enunciation tend to pronounce what sounds like poke salad. And because we make a salad out of those leaves. We use it in it. And in general, what I know about poke salad was it's scrambled into eggs. That's poke salad. I never heard about it being eaten just by itself. And that's the dish that my mom would always make for me. that I love to this day, and figured, I guess, and I had already accepted that the only way I would have any is when I go home to visit and have her make some for me. It's growing all in the yard, so there's no shortage of it ever. But she just didn't make it, except to make it for me by scrambling it in my eggs. Okay, all my life I've always loved that flavor, but I've never been, only since I've been in the garden did it occur to me to try it, right? So I went to visit my sister because she had it growing in her yard. That was I got the videos to these songs I'm playing on here on this other contraption, and so the disco lights threw me. So those random ass disco lights just shook me, that's all. So yeah, so I wanted to, so after I got into gardening, I started thinking about the pokes. You know, I started thinking about growing things that you actually like and will eat. So I was like, oh, I could doctor up my eggs by making poke salad. Plus I have this flavor memory from childhood, you know, positive childhood memories, right? Reinforce those. And, sorry, ooh, it still got the, I swear I washed them. So, I was telling my mom, I was like, you know, my sister has them growing in her yard. So next time I went to visit my sister, I got clippings out of her yard and tried to propagate them here at home. And I started them inside because it was cold. Might have been fall here. It was maybe wasn't the right time of year to plant them outside. Number one, I didn't want to grow them in the ground because they're an invasive weed. Well, I don't know if they're invasive, but they're a weed nonetheless, and I didn't want them growing in my yard without knowing if I could control them from taking over or not. So I brought the cutting home and I started it indoors with the intent of being able to transplant it wherever I wanted to outdoors, or leave it in a pot if I wanted to. None of this matters because I failed. I failed miserably. It didn't make it. It didn't even look like it wanted to make it. It was a mess, huh, Tay? Quite the fail. So anyway, as I did that research, though, I learned that if you don't boil them like 3 times and then fry them, saute them, you could poison your damn self. They're damn poison. Bitch, they're poison. I would have killed myself. Because I wouldn't have boiled them 3 times and then saute them and then fry them before knowing I can put them in some food at the risk of poisoning myself. I wouldn't have known any of that. It seemed like my mother would have told me that when I told her I was thinking about growing some. About to kill myself. I have never eaten cucumbers for so long in my life. I've been eating cucumbers and talking to y'all for literally hours. You just gonna see a lot of it edited. But I've been sitting here talking to y'all for hours about random shit. Well, just a couple of things, but extended long, making short stories long, honey. Speaking of, where was I on this damn poke salad? So, last time I went home, of course I had my mom make me some poke salad. You know, poke salad in my eggs or whatever. So good. And heavy in protein, so good, right? So, but keep in mind, this time that I'm able to enjoy poke salad, I was thinking because now I'm enjoying it as a gardener and a person who cooks. A culinary artist, if you will. So I'm tasting it, and I'm like, what does it taste like? Because it doesn't taste like collards. It doesn't taste like this. It has a flavor on its own, y'all. I can't explain it. It doesn't taste like collards. It doesn't taste like any other mustards. It doesn't taste like spinach. What? Okay. So I was like, what does this taste like? I'm sorry, I got confused. Because as I asked myself that, and as I'm eating cucumbers, I was thinking, what does this cucumber taste like? I don't think I mentioned it to y'all. They're crunchy and juicy and light and sweet. And light and sweet. Ow, I just got bit by a mosquito right there. Ow. Okay, let me get to the story. Well, y'all know what it is. So I'm like, what does this taste like? And they're also fresh tasting. And they don't have that film that green cucumbers have. Not just in the store, because I know we assume that those are pesticides and preservatives and stuff. And they are, for the most part. But I've grown green cucumbers, and they also had a film, to be fair to farmers. So I don't know if they naturally have some kind of barrier against stuff, but cucumbers have a film on them. They're just fresh cucumber. And you don't have to peel it. Just sweet and tender, yet firm and crisp. Yeah, so when I was eating the I'm gonna get to the story one day. So as I was like, what is this? What kind of greens would be best suited to substitute this for? And spinach is good in eggs too, so that's cool. But I wanted something that would take me back down memory lane. Okay. So in my mind, in my culinary and botanical mind, as I enjoyed my poke salad, I was doing my damnness to figure out what green would be best suited to simulate this flavor, right? And then I thought back to when I traveled a lot more in the industry, and I thought back on there's gonna be a couple of story times, well, first of all, when I spent time in Florida, there was a large Jamaican population that hit me up on a few things culturally that I wasn't hip to. Okay, having said that, I spent time then working in DC. And so one of these mornings on my way to work, because I was a gym rat and so I hadn't eaten, I needed to eat something. You know, you can't just burn calories forever and not replenish some, shit. So I needed to get something for breakfast. And so on my way to work, I stopped at this building. It wasn't even a building that I was going to wind up at, so I don't know how I ended up at this building. I'm thinking maybe it was the last stop on the metro before I got to my stop where I could get something. But anyway, I went into this building, and so it was a vendor, not even a street vendor, but it was a vendor just in the entryway of this building before you get to even before you get into the building really good. So there was a vendor that had almost like a roach-coach cart, and he had Jamaican beef patties. Now, I remembered a lot of talk about Jamaican beef patties from my Jamaican people in Florida, but I never tasted one, ironically. So I was like, okay, well, let me see what he's got. He only has so many choices, right? Because it's a little like a roach coach cart. So I got the one that sounded closest to breakfast, which was it was a Jamaican patty it had callaloo and feta cheese in it. And so I was just like, screw it, I'll give me one of those, right? So I got one of those, and I got to skedaddling because I would have been running late if I didn't. And I ate that thing. Oh my God, it was so good. It became my breakfast every day thereafter that I was in DC. Any day that I could get to or it was convenient, I wouldn't go out of my way. I wouldn't break my convenience of a route to go back that way. But anytime it was a part of the route, I was going to get that Jamaican patty with the callaloo and feta cheese, right? So, cut back to me being at home this last time and having had these experiences of, you know, being hip by my Jamaican people in Florida, then being in DC and having these Jamaican patties, and now I'm at home again with the ability to have this poke salad. And so I'm thinking, what greens would best substitute this flavor in this poke salad? And I was like, oh my God, I bet your callaloo would be good in there. I bet you it would be good. Now from that point, it took me at least a year, maybe 2, to get my hands on something. Because where am I going to get my hands on callaloo in the Midwest, bitch? I don't know. You tell me. I was like, well, I'm getting into this gardening thing because I was new at it. I was like, let me get some seeds, right? So I went to the worst place in the world for something to trust for seeds. Not the worst place in the world, that's a lie, because you might trip up on some good stuff. You just have to do your due diligence. But anyway, I went to eBay.
You have the same graceful features as my mother and other elegant women of my tribe.
Oh, thank you, eBay.
But the thing is, like I said, do your due diligence. I found a gardener that was literally Jamaican. I remember that motherfucker's name. His name was Conrad. Ain't that something? He even had a Jamaican name, girl. So, Conrad was the seller's name. That wasn't the name of the store, the whatever he was selling seeds from. But when he sent the little, you know, they send a little love letter sometimes, a little thank you for doing business with them in the envelope. His name was Conrad. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a Jamaican name. So I got some of the seeds and I kind of put them, I was mad at the way he packaged those seeds though, y'all. Because he put tape around, he put them in a white piece of paper and then he put tape around the paper. So half the seeds got stuck on the tape. But little did I know at that time, it doesn't matter because those things, they're so fucking viable. But still, I want what I paid for, you know. But so I had a few seeds and had them strewn around in the ground. But to my knowledge, nothing came up. Now, in retrospect, I'm sure I thought they were mostly weeds and probably pulled them all up from around my other vegetables. So, yeah, who knows. But there was one that I left, apparently, accidentally, and it continued to grow. And I let it. The reason why I let it is because after a while, it started looking like the picture that was on eBay for what my callaloo should look like. So I was like, let me let this thing grow and see what's good, right? I put out videos about this in my gardening escapades. So I had the one plant. And I was looking, and I was like, you know, I think this is that callaloo, y'all, right? After it was big enough for me to harvest a few leaves, I harvested a few leaves and put them in my eggs. Ah, I was in heaven, because not only was I accurate, it was the flavor of that callaloo I had in that Jamaican patty for breakfast every day that I possibly could, every day that I was in DC. And also, it gave me the flavor of, it more than duplicated and even enhanced the flavor that gave me memories from childhood about yummy, delicious foods that I happen to know now in my culinary wisdom that are good for you, superfoods, if you will. Man, it was on and popping after that. I was like, I can grow callaloo in the Midwest? I should have been doing this. I could have still been having poke salad, if you will, except this callaloo. And not only that, I don't have to boil it 3 times and then saute it and then fry it, lest I kill myself, because it's still poison. I don't have that poison factor to be concerned with. And not only that, it doesn't take as long as collard greens take to cook. You know, collard greens can take a long time to cook. Spinach cooks like that. Guess what else cooks like that, girl? Yes, you guessed it, callaloo. So I was like, oh, I have the best of both worlds and then some. Yeah, you can eat it raw, which I've done, but I would only say a few baby leaves in the midst of a whole nother type of salad. I wouldn't do all callaloo. That's not good. And also, it's not good for juicing. But then neither is spinach, because spinach will get smushed in your juicer, and because it's just that supple and viable. But on the other hand, they're very light and refreshing to put into a salad. So, but I definitely wouldn't make a whole salad full of it because no bueno. It is not delicious uncooked. I'm just keeping it real. It can be eaten uncooked though, and it's still very nutritious. Some people still do. I don't. I tried juicing it, and in juicing it, you can juice it better than you can spinach, but it makes the vegetable juice milky. And if you are, I'm not sensitive to textures, but with me not being sensitive to textures and my response to a milky vegetable juice lets me know that if you are sensitive to textures, you definitely don't want to juice with callaloo, because it will make your shit milky. And you know, some flavors and textures are not meant to be milky. It's just not. And leafy greens are one of those. So, needless to say, the following year, I grew a lot of callaloo, not realizing how redunculously prolific it is. Didn't need to do that. By the way, same with these mini white cucumbers. You need one plant. I would say plant two if you have concerns about something happening to one of your plants. For example, if you have a big ass bunny rabbit that wants to come in and dig up your shit, that's a situation under which you might want to plant a couple, but they are prolific. And it's one of those things like, the more you harvest, the more it will produce. And considering that, here come big fat raindrops. Holla at y'all indoors. So to wrap my story up, all that healthy mukbanging I just did, and you would think I would be full because I ate all those cucumbers except for one for y'all. All but one. But yeah, in a half hour it took me to get resettled to wrap this video up. I went and grabbed 2 of these garlic bread twists. Ugh, I know it's terrible. So I'm just admitting to the fact that I'm not just having this one. I had another one. I scarfed another one down before I turned the camera back on. But since I've been doing the right thing, girl, my portion control is bleak. Even with my meditation. And when I'm dosing with the legit stuff, I have even more portion control. It's crazy. But anyway, it is throwing down. Y'all might be able to hear it. Oh man, that ain't nothing but Harvey, boy. It's Harvey knocking on the door. Harvey knocking on the door, comma, I suppose. How Siri catch that D? Not the sexy D, but the D. When I said I suppose, and my tongue accidentally put a D on there, I supposed. But that she can catch. That Siri can catch. But she don't speak the regular English I speak. She's shady. Siri is shady. So yeah, I think the last thing I was saying was that you don't really want to juice with the callaloo because it'll turn your vegetable juice milky, and that is not a flavor somehow that you're looking for in your vegetable juice. I'm more than sure for most of you. After that year of the accidental one that I let grow and harvest from, the following year I planted several. Didn't need to plant several because I had a forest. I had a Cataloo forest by the end of the season. So I was like, oh, okay, so next year I only need to plant a few of these and I should be good, right? But what had happened was the forest was so thick that it reseeded itself. Yes, girl, in the Midwest, a tropical vegetable leafy green superfood has reseeded itself in the Midwest. Hence being the Callaloo queen, but I'm a couple of other more kind of queens, girl. Don't ask. And that was just this past season's experience I had, where the first deliberate batch of my Callaloo crop overwintered and reseeded itself for this year in abundance. But y'all know me, I just can't throw away seeds and plants, so I just harvested them in big bunches. I just waited till all the little plants got big enough and just harvested it as a whole plant, where I could just cut the roots off and then just easily wash and harvest they're so easy. That's another thing. Let's go there too while we're at it. Not only are they prolific, like I'm talking about ridiculously prolific, cut and come type, where the more you cut, the more that will come off of one plant. Branches, it'll be branches on branches on branches. Cut it back as far as you want, as often as you want. And like I said, you only need to plant a few of them to get continuous and robust harvests. And apparently, I don't think it's just for me, but I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I never even y'all heard the story about how it came to be. I didn't decide to grow Callaloo because there's a bunch of people out here growing it, and so why not? I had this entire lifespan of experiences that led me to the personal individual idea to just plant them. And in this Callaloo doing what it does, it occurs to me that the moringa is as aggressive in terms of growth. And so I was like, you know what? Because again, it's the Midwest. This is not a tropical land, and these are tropical plants and trees that I'm talking about. So like, how are you going to do that? But why is that an issue if they grow as robust and as quickly as they grow? So once you get but P.S. moringa hates a transplant. So you might want to be mindful of putting that bitch where you want her to be for her lifespan. Or if you are going to do transplant, make sure you let it dry out in the smaller part when it gets to whatever size it's going to get, so that you can bring up the whole root ball connected. And that's your best bet in having a moringa survive its transplant. I should give moringa it's its own video, huh? So there's that. But the ultimate point is that with Callaloo, and like Callaloo is a tropical plant, but I can grow it every year. Like, the only difference is that I'll just have seasons of it. And since it's as abundant as it is, why don't I harvest enough to be able to, freeze and store? And then and on top of that, I'll have some in the wintertime. Not only am I in a zone where nobody has it, but I have it in the wintertime of that zone. Who in the Midwest in the dead of winter can say, oh, I think I want a little Callaloo for dinner tonight? And go in the freezer and get some and have some Callaloo, Jamaican Callaloo for dinner in the Midwest in the dead of winter. I can. The Callaloo queen can. So as I thought about that, growing it every year, I thought, well, if you know how fast moringa trees grow, I've seen those bitches give me 3 inches a day. I think the most I've seen one give me was maybe, it seemed like it grew 6 inches in a day. I shit you not. 6. The point is, when moringa plants are established and they begin to grow, they grow rapidly. And since you have winters that moringas can't handle, what difference does it make? Get you a shitload of seeds and plant them every season. So that when it does grow very quickly, even as a small tree, you'll have enough shit to harvest to hold you over for the winter, much like you do with the Callaloo. Come on. Sometimes we gotta break out of this group think to pay attention to the simplest of solutions. But I'm not gonna turn this into a consciousness video. But just common sense, morally balanced, think about it, certain things. And these amazing solutions are practical resolves for issues that aren't really issues in the first place, but you didn't realize it because you didn't recognize the God in you. Okay, I'm doing too much right now. The point is, Callaloo is bomb, and I have access to it whenever I want to at this stage in the game. A lot of shit just happened. It shouldn't be so complicated. Yeah, so and that's how I became the Callaloo Queen. So it may be self-appointed, but it is well deserved. Because I don't know how long this video gonna be when I get through with it. It's gonna be a long ass video. And it's not gonna be just because it was a sesh. It's gonna be because it really was a legit journey through childhood delicacies of poke salad to knowledge of whether anybody else has this experience, and those who do, their confusion or different or differing experiences with it, or other people's interpretation of it, all the way to a journey through to a whole different country in Jamaica, albeit the Florida border of it, who hit me up onto some cultural shit of my people that I had no idea, and still had no idea because I still didn't have personal experience. But in a whole nother state, Chocolate City, was where I was able to follow up on that information I had been given about said delicacy. To my delight to find that it was amazing and healthy. Who knew? My people knew. That's who. Through to growth spurt in personal development through my life with a wonderful black man, to pique my interest in domestic areas that I would have never touched with a 10-foot pole as a developing tomboy child. In an effort to want to have those journeys with him, I ventured into them and opened a door of all sorts of opportunities and experiences that I'm able, many of which I'm able to share with you through today's age of technology. But part of that domestic growth being through gardening and therefore culinary arts, because it is art. It's all art. These interests of passion, that creative interests of passion that we develop, are all art. Because it's that passion in expression, and the expression is the art. Man, I don't know what I just said, but it was profound as fuck. And I know it was. And I can't wait to go back and edit this video, because I'm going to amaze my damn self. I'm going to be like, oh man, she was so lit, but so deep. I actually know what she's saying now that she's forcing me to think about it with my open, free-thinking, non-conditioned mind. Girl, this spirit of wisdom be taking a hold of me. Oh, speaking of, since we gonna go there, honey. This is a sesh after all. Done. I love that dude. I'm gonna miss that dude. I'm gonna miss that dude when this world is done with him. I'm afraid that when this world is done with him, they're just gonna discard him. It's gonna be disrespectful almost, just from my perspective. I don't think it'll be maliciously done, unless in the eyes of really evil people. But I think that it won't be malicious, but he's gonna be really underrated when he signs out. I hope they honor him as he deserves to be honored. Okay, that's enough of that, because at the end of the day, he Becky Daddy, and he had the option to fight for the right thing or not, with much less risk of being murdered, you know. Mass, yeah. But he knows that, and that's what makes him, that's what gives him a pass. He understands what that is and how it came to be. But anyway, this ain't about that. This ain't about that, girl. So yeah, journey to Callaloo Queen. Now it's my shit, and it cooks as fast as spinach. It's healthier than every damn thing, and you can cook the stems. I ain't mentioned that. You can cook the stems. Now, if you get the really big fat main stem, the trunk and shit, you're gonna have to peel off these strips of whatever. So just to avoid that, I would just say don't be trying to cook the main stem. Now, to be fair, just so you know, I'm just not talking out of my ass because I don't have any experience. I have used that main stem and stripped all the skin off of that trunk and cut it into pieces and used it instead of celery, because y'all know I don't really mess with celery too much. And I have a substitute for celery. Those who have been around know what it is. If you want to know, ask. But anywho, I don't do celery too tough. And so I used the callaloo stem for celery. It was great. It was great. But it's too easy just to tear off the leaves, and you can eat those stems without having to strip them. So that's too easy. I might as well do. Why? I'm not about that fighting my food life. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna have to strip this stuff off of this thing just to be able to enjoy this vegetable. I'm not gonna do that. It ain't gonna be me. I'm not gonna be the one to do it. You know. I'm still about that practical life. Especially when all the leaves and the stems of the leaves are all good eating. What y'all know about it? It's all good eating. All good eating. What you know about that? Yes. So, it's hard now. That was just as well stop me from eating the whole thing. Cool. I need to go to the grocery store. How bad is the storm going to be? I don't know. I know, John. Y'all gonna know what today is if I put that in there. I know, John. It's true. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm gonna miss him. I never even met him in person. And if I did meet him, I don't know what the fuck we would talk about. We don't know. But when this world loses him, I'm going to feel another substantial loss of energy in this existence. Because he's a good human. Like all humans I love. He's a good human. So I love you, John, if I don't ever get to tell you in person my own self. Man, love some Uncle John. Good human. Just basically good human. It's a shame how few basically good humans there are in the world right now. But what am I supposed to do? I'm only here to influence the influencers. The masses in general, I wasn't built. My patience and tolerance for bullshit wasn't built to put up with the masses. But for those of you who are powerful and have the power to influence others, I'm your girl. I'm your girl. I guess I'm your girl. I don't know what time in life, what age we think we're supposed to recognize our real purpose. Because you got different purposes at different ages. So I guess you can't even expect to know what it is from jump. Unless yours is such that you needed an early jump in your knowledge on what it is you're here for. But in whatever way, it is mine to influence influencers. Not just internet influence. I'm talking about the ones that haven't crossed the sociopath line. Like, I'm not, like, Oprah wouldn't be bothered with nobody like me. And understandably so. But there are some people, the powerful people on that level, who would be for me, who would be one of the people that I would be an influencer for. And when I influence people, I don't do nothing special on my end specifically. All I'm really doing at the end of the day is introducing people to the God that was already in them. You just ain't never met that bitch. And it take a tough love bitch like me to tell you like it is, for you to sit down one day and take a real look in a motherfucking mirror and be like, oh my God. And this time when you say, oh my God, you gonna be talking to yourself, because you see the God in your damn self. And you know that there's nothing you can't do. Nothing you can't do. And you have the option, and since it's there, why not, to use those powers for good. So, bitch, from me to you, you can do it. When I say bitch, I'm talking of ladies and gentlemen alike. Y'all know it just comes out of my mouth when I'm talking to people I love sometimes. I regret eating that little piece of garlic bread twist. My stomach is not happy with that. Maybe I'll drink another protein drink. I need to drink some water, that's for damn sure. Hydrate, bitch. I don't know what my problem is. Let me go get some water. Ooh, I'm gonna ramp up a whole nother level with some water too. Why not? Why wouldn't I drink some more water for all the right reasons? I know I need some water. Look at me sitting here looking at y'all like y'all crazy. And still haven't got up to get some water. Get some damn motherfucker. Get your ass up and get you some water.